Hello and welcome to the Leaflet. We have here with us an independent investigative journalist, Mr. Ravi Nair, who, after a corporate stint of 20 years, has been consistently writing investigative stories exposing the biggest financial scams and financial misconduct in India and abroad. Along with Mr. Paranjoy Gua Thakurta, who cannot be here with us today because of a 2021 gag order. Ravi was one of the journalists targeted by the Adani Group when he was served with a surprise arrest warrant in July 2021 for a defamation suit in a Gandhinagar court. Having written extensively about Gautam Adani's relationship with the Modi government, Ravi is the best person to enlighten us on a still ongoing event which has brought Gautam Adani from the third richest person to the 22nd richest person. The findings of the Hindenburg research charge the Adani Group with stock manipulation, operating shadowy shell companies, among other things. Ravi Nair, welcome.
Thank you.
So, I want to know, how did the Adani Group get so big? How did it expand its businesses in India and abroad?
If you look at closely, if you observe the group's growth story closely, around 2014, the group was not so big. Adani Enterprises Limited and Adani Power Limited were only the two companies which were listed on the stock exchanges on that time. After 2014, when the government changed and the NDA government led by Mr. Narendra Modi came into power, then the actual growth story of the Adani Group started in India. The group started to diversify in such a way, it was mind-boggling. Like, for example, if I look at the numbers, the numbers of the, especially the loans, the Adani government has taken. In 2011, the bank loans were Adani's group obtained 582 crores in total loans. In 2012, it was 697. 2013, 744. 2014, it went up more than double to 1529. And in 2015, you'll be shocked to hear this, from 1529, the group took a loan of 16,839 crores. Then next year it came down to 9,141 crore. Then 2017, 4,959. 2018, 2,075 crore. 2020, 17,700 crore. In 2021, 51,655 crores. And 2022, 72,263 crores. So all put together,
He is in substantial debt. Is that what
he is in debt. But all these loans, the group had started to get these loans after these big loans, after 2014. Not only that, it was published extensively and written widely that this group's access with the government gave preferences to this group in many ways. One example I can cite is that in 2015, when Mr. Modi visited Bangladesh as the Prime Minister of India for the first time, there was an entourage of business captains accompanied him. From there, there was an announcement that India will be constructing power plants in Bangladesh and selling power because Bangladesh power sector is very weak and it was not able to produce as much as the country wants. That's what's said on that time. In 2000, later, Adani Group was one of them. Adani Group and Mr. Anil Ambani's Reliance ADAG, the Reliance Power, they signed MOUs with the Bangladesh government on that time in 2015. In 2000, few months later, it was in June, 2015 August, it changed. In the case of Reliance, Reliance was constructing the power station in Bangladesh itself. But in the case of Adani Group, they said that they will construct in India. And in 2017, they signed a contract, a power purchase agreement with the Bangladesh government. What happened with this? The land will be acquired in India. People will be displaced in India. It's a coal-fired power plant. All the pollution will happen in India. The coal-fired thermal power plants consume a lot of water. So this water will be drawn in India. And the water pollution will happen in India. Power will be sold to Bangladesh. But on that time, it was thought, okay, the country will be earning revenues in dollars, foreign exchange, so that would be good. In 2019, February, just before the elections, the announcement of general elections, government changed its own implemented rule and gave a special economic zone status for Adani's project. It's called Godda. The place is called Godda in Jharkhand. Special economic zone status for this particular project. So it was in violation of, to make this easier, government changed its own rule, which was framed by same government in 2016. So by this, what happened? Adani's Godda power station, which is owned by a subsidiary of Adani Power Limited, this Adani Power Jharkhand Limited. This power station has become the one and only standalone power station in India. So what happens with that? So if you have an SEZ status, the country's tax rules are not applicable to it. Like whatever the machinery the Adani Power Jharkhand Limited imported, whatever the coal they import, they don't have to pay any import duty or any tax.
So
once the operation starts, they don't have to pay any income tax for the first 5 years. After that, they have to pay only 50%. I mean, virtually they don't have to pay anything in taxes. So that means all the pollution will be in India, power will be sold to Bangladesh, and Adani will mint money. That's one example. Second example, in 2019, I accessed the minutes of meeting of PPPAC, that Public-Private Partnership Account Committee, the government body. Their minutes of meeting when the airport privatization was discussed. So it was from the finance ministry, officials of the finance ministry, and officials from Niti Aayog raised objection that all the 6 airports should not go to one entity, and others overruled it. So all 6 airports went to Adani. So these kind of favorable atmosphere created by this government made Adani grow drastically.
what your findings state is that rules were amended just for a particular group. The
Exactly.
group.
See, before that PPPAC meeting, which changed the regulations, before that, if somebody has to bid for an airport, that company should have prior experience in that particular field. Adani didn't have any airports. He was operating an airstrip somewhere in Mundra. That's for his personal aircraft or small aircrafts. Other than that, Adani never had any airports. He never had any experience in operating large airports. Today, Adani is the largest, he's the largest private airport operator in India. And the 6 plus 1 which is upcoming, the 6 airports which he is controlling right now, including Mumbai, it controls more than 25% of the passenger volume in Indian airport, which Indian airport handles. So that's another example. I mean, we can cite so many examples like this, how this regime favored twisted rules to fit in one business group. That's how this business group grown this bigger.
Let me now come to the to and fro between the Hindenburg Research Group and the Adani Group. So, in one of the responses, Adani says that the research of the group is a calculated attack on India. So, what lies behind this attempt to equate an expose of the group to an attack on the whole of India?
Let me ask you, is Adani India? Is Gautam Adani India or equal to India, or Adani Group is India? No, right? So this this is a kind of pattern which politically opted by the right wing, paraphernalia, like Prime Minister Modi is India, India is Modi, that kind of thing. Any attack on Modi is an attack on India. It's those kind of rhetoric. Mr. Adani might have thought that invoking such a thing, the nationalistic fervor might help him to gather public sympathy, and this is not only an attack on his company; it's an attack on India, saying that. He might have thought that no, he and his group can sidestep the actual issues raised by the Hindenburg and to divert the topic. That's one. Second, that they might have expected that a certain group might help them up, like the right-wing group might help them up to come out of this issue. But it didn't happen on that way.
So in reply to the Hindenburg research, the Adani Group has prepared a 400-page response. Only 30 pages of which are relevant to the findings of the report. But the Adani Group is yet to file a lawsuit either in India or in the US. So, do you think Adani would file a possible defamation lawsuit in the US, or is he fearful that it may actually backfire on him?
See, it's not like that Adani Group filing defamation suits against journalists in different parts of Gujarat, in interiors of Gujarat. Okay, these are slabs. Here the intention is that the journalists, most of them are independent journalists, even otherwise, they have to travel all the way to that remote place. They'll spend money, spend time. And the cases will go on for a long time. So just we say Hindi में बोलते हैं ना that परेशान करते हैं. That is the basic intention. That just just to intimidate, and over a period of time, people will think, yeah, it doesn't worth it, so let's leave it. So that's the intention. But in the case of this particular thing, this particular issue, first he cannot file a case here, because Hindenburg is being an American entity, so it's out of this jurisdiction locally. He cannot file anything in Gujarat as such. Second, if he has operations, Adani Group has operations in the US. It was listed in stock exchange, traded there. So if they file a lawsuit, a defamation suit, or anything else there, the laws are different there. So the respondent, Hindenburg, can easily ask or request the court that let Adani submit all the documents related to the allegations. Let us investigate it, or let the independent investigative body investigate it and prove we are wrong. I don't think Adani Group will go to that extent, because they know many things. Even in the reply, if you look at it, Adani Group didn't touch many of the when the report said about the shady companies, entities based out of Mauritius, the opaqueness of it, the transactions from Mr. Vinod Adani.
He hasn't contested the main findings of the
Yes,
report.
yes. Their reply was very vague. They didn't answer it properly. So, I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't think they will do that.
Let me now come to the recently concluded and withdrawn FPO by the Adani Group. So on Wednesday, it was announced that the Adani Enterprises follow-on public offer will be withdrawn. Even as it was being reported that it was fully subscribed. So, in your view, what did the company hope to achieve with the FPO, and what could have led to the decision to withdraw?
This FPO, the follow-on offer of this Adani Group, it was planned in November. As per the published reports, the actual plan was to issue bonds, dollar bonds outside India and raise funds. So then this FPO came up. They might have thought that, okay, they'll raise the bonds later. First, let us go with the FPO. The reasons behind this FPO was clearly stated. It was published in the offer document itself that, and there were a lot of newspaper advertisements in the run-up to it and when it was on, FPO was on. So it was declared that they wanted to settle some of the debts, kind of refinancing, and they wanted to invest more money into certain businesses like the airport. They wanted to invest a certain amount of money for the development of, I think, Lucknow Airport, and for that highway project, what they have, their road projects. So that of course, I mean, the release of the report, Hindenburg Research report, was just happened one day before. 25th was the launch of the FPO. Report was launched on 24th in the US. It is 25th in India, and everyone knew this is this is not going to work the way the market behaved or market responded to that report. When in FPO, the share prices, the price band were around somewhere around 3,100 to 3,200 rupees. And in the secondary market, when it was trading already, the prices started to fall steeply. And it fell to such levels on that time, somewhere around 2,600, 2,700. So if you are getting a share of this company at 2,700 rupees, why would you purchase the FPO? Why would you purchase the same shares in the FPO or through the FPO at 3,200 rupees? No sane person will do that, right? So it didn't work out the way it was expected. Last day of this issue, it was subscribed. It was fully subscribed, around 1.12%.
But
higher.
do you suspect any irregularities in the way it was subscribed?
I mean, I don't know, because in the first 2 days the subscription was very minimal, okay, and in the third day it was completely subscribed. Now, before that, when the video offer, that was completely subscribed in the initial starting itself. So that's, well, let us leave that part. Including LIC and SBI Cap, everyone put in money in that. So let's leave that part. When it comes to retail investors, around 2.65 crore shares were kept for retail investors. Out of that, only 12% were subscribed. And a certain portion of shares were kept for the employees of the Adani Group. Out of that, 54%, only 54% got subscribed. So Adani Group's own employees they were not ready to put in money. Nobody would, no sane person would do that. But if you are getting a scrip by the time the prices fell further, so for a person who's, in the secondary market, when a share price is around 2100, why do you pay 1000 rupees more to purchase the same share on the FPO offer, right? Then Economic Times reported and LifeMint also reported that Mr. Adani called many of uh, his friends and well-wishers and fellow business persons, and they invested a lot of money. As per Mint, it was Mr. Sunil Bharti Mittal invested around 1200 crore rupees from his personal fund, not from the company. And JSW Steel's Sajjan Jindal. And Economic Times reported that few pharma giants, Gujarati businessmen, everyone knows the name, so as they didn't publish it, I am not saying on my own. So they also they also put in money to salvage. But next day, Mr. Adani announced himself. They put out a press statement saying that they are withdrawing it. The reason is very simple. Like, it created an obligation for Mr. Adani because his Adani Enterprises Limited's shares fell so steeply by then. It came below 2,000 rupees. So even lower than that. By yesterday evening, I noticed that, for example, if we say Mr. Sunil Bharati Mittal invested 1200 crore rupees, the value of his investment came down to 600 crore rupees. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make any sense for, how it doesn't, it will be tough for the company to justify this. So it was better, they opted for it.
But aren't these back channel talks that Adani had to get the FPO subscribed, aren't these similar to the charges that Hindenburg report and charges Adani with?
Not exactly. Okay, I didn't answer the second part of your last question also, that what was illegal in this. Let me answer that first before coming into this. Bloomberg reported yesterday that a couple of companies which are linked with Adani Group subscribed to this FPO, which is Elara Capital, and one more fund which I forgot. So these companies were in the list. In the list of when an FPO or equity or company is listed and shares are floated, in the marketing and related administrative issues, it's conducted by certain agencies. Like it's given. So Elara was one of them which was doing it for Adani, and one more company, I forgot the name. So if their funds, as per Bloomberg, Elara's subsidiary is Elara Capital India Limited, invested fund into that. If that is true, then it's a blatant violation of SEBI guidelines and rules, and it is done so openly. So that is, and for the cancellation, I think there's one more thing. It might have cancelled 4, because by third evening, the group had to submit the list of the subscribers to SEBI. So once that is out, news organizations, everyone access it. So it would have been already cleared. It would have plainly come out by then that okay, these companies also subscribed, and these are the individuals subscribed. So it might have created an embarrassing situation for the group and the promoter, especially when the news came that the promoter, the chairman of Adani Group, Mr. Gautam Adani, himself called business tycoons and others. So that would have been an embarrassing thing. So they might have tried to avoid it. And the other part of this illegality, other than what Elara did, I don't think something illegal happened there.
Let me now come to the role of the market regulator SEBI. So, in a Reuters report, a Reuters report citing unnamed sources has claimed that the SEBI has increased its scrutiny on the Adani Group. And another ET report today on February 3 claims that SEBI has asked stock exchanges to examine if there was any unusual activity in regard to Adani
SEBI
stock.
asked whom?
To different stock exchanges.
That is BSE and NSE, only two.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what can we reasonably expect from the SEBI to
As the market regulator, okay, what SEBI was doing till now? Because these things are these issues, what Hindenburg Research report raised, these issues are not new. This was not, this did not happen yesterday uh, or just happened overnight. These things were happening since long time. Way back in 2021 July, I published two articles, two reports, in which I used the legal entity identification method, the research, legal entity identification data, and I found out that most of these foreign portfolio investors, which are parking their money, I won't say investing, I would like to use the word park. So who are parking the money, huge amounts in Adani Group companies. Most of them were registered in Mauritius, Cyprus, Singapore, and those kind of areas which are known tax havens. All these entities are connected, interconnected to one entity which is registered in British Virgin Islands. Nobody know who are the owners. That is one. Second, in July 2019, Mahua Moitra, Trinamool Congress Lok Sabha MP, she raised this question on the floor of the parliament. So the Minister of Finance then answered that SEBI is investigating certain foreign portfolio investors called FPIs, and DRI is also doing some investigations into certain Adani Group companies. So SEBI is also investigating not only the FPIs and certain other transactions and opaque entities based out of Mauritius, which is related to Adani Group companies, their transactions, and DRI is doing the same thing. In that answer, the minister submitted an annexure with all the names of all entities, the foreign portfolio investors invested in the Adani Group stocks in India. So, as per the SEBI guidelines and as per the RBI guidelines, as per the PMLA, that is, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the KYC rules, like, so if an FPI is investing in a company or its stocks, the actual beneficial owners' names must be there, and the real executives who are operating that fund, their names also must be there. In the annexure given, when I checked the names of these particular entities which were highlighted, which was highlighted in my report and later in the Hindenburg report also, all of them were, again, somewhere interconnected with that British Virgin Island, that company. None of them were the ultimate beneficial owners or UBOs. And all these were, all these people's name mentioned are of, not even fund managers, like the front ends for someone. So all these people were, just like that.
They were unknowns. I mean, they were
Yeah, so
shady.
yeah, so SEBI, why SEBI did not ask these funds to submit the names of their you know, original beneficial owners, the actual beneficial owners, right? It was that list is not available with SEBI. That is one. So if this was happening in July 2021, since then, it's almost 1.5 years. What did SEBI do till now? Now they are saying they're investigating. So till now, what they were doing? My sources and SEBI confirmed me that they tried to do some investigation earlier, at least on paper, and their investigation reached a dead end because all these entities are domiciled out of various countries, tax havens like Mauritius, as I said. So these countries were not ready to share the details of these companies, their transactions, their real owners, and nothing. So these countries' law, it helped them. They allowed them to do so. So now, if SEBI's investigation reached a dead end, did SEBI approach the Ministry of Finance and Corporate Affairs seeking assistance or help? That, okay, this is what is happening. Our investigation reached a dead end. So if we have to take forward, you have to help us because DRA investigation was already going on as per the minister. Okay, that also we don't know what happened to that. Huh? Before that also there were DRA investigations going on against Adani Group on over invoicing, money laundering, and all those stuff. उसका भी कुछ नतीजा अभी तक निकला नहीं. I mean, it didn't. The final results of that are still not out. It didn't. So SEBI's role as a regulator. If someone says that SEBI was not aware of it, I'm sorry, it's tough for me to believe, or anyone who's watching these affairs, for them to believe. SEBI knew all this all while and they were silent. Related to the same thing, in last September and October, it was reported that Mr. Gautam Adani visited the SEBI headquarters twice, once in September and once in October. It happened within a span of 4 weeks. In the second time, in the first time he met officials and directors of SEBI, and the second time he met the chairperson, Mrs. Madhabi Puri Butch. So let me ask you, if SEBI was conducting an investigation, okay, and if SEBI was conducting an investigation against the Adani Group, and if the SEBI directors, officials, and the chairperson herself were entertaining Mr. Adani at their office while the investigations are on, what kind of impression that is giving?
True.
So it's actually a conflict of interest, and nobody spoke much of that. It just hushed up. Few newspapers published that, okay, Mr. Adani visited SEBI office, SEBI headquarters, and he held meeting with the SEBI chairperson, Mrs. Butch. Ended there. Nobody asked. Investigations were going on. So isn't this a conflict of interest? What did they discuss? Nobody knows, right? So that's it was actually SEBI was doing nothing, as far as my understanding goes. And even now they are saying that they will do the investigation. We have to wait and watch. Honestly, I don't have any confidence.
But based on the findings of this report, what can the SEBI actually do? Can they file a case under the PMLA and...
See, SEBI's power, it's limited up to an extent. Okay. More than SEBI, actually the government should act. The reason is, okay, this is actually outside the world. If you look at it, it'll be looked at as the failure of the regulations in India's capital market. SEBI's inaction, the DRI investigation not reaching anywhere, and the allegations raised out of in the Hindenburg Research report are very serious allegations. You know that the Dow Jones, S&P Dow Jones decided to not to trade Adani Enterprises shares. It's published this morning, and uh, Credit Suisse and Citibank decided that they will not provide any margin loans against the shares or against the bonds of Adani Group companies. So these are all giving negative impact. So when Mr. Gautam Adani himself said that this is an attack on India, so the government should take it forward. The Ministry of Finance and the other regulatory mechanisms should act swiftly and prove that we have a clear, strict regulatory atmosphere, so the investors don't have to fear your money won't be lost. That is not happening.
But do they have a covert interest in not investigating Adani seriously?
We don't know. I mean, see, these again. I'll go back to the same thing what I said earlier. If DRI filed case against Adani Group in 2014 on the over invoicing. After this government came into power, certain orders which came in was in favor of Adani. So when DRI went, the investigating officer was transferred long ago. New people came in, and the government was not ready to issue a letter rogatory for DRI to get information from foreign countries related to the transactions and other entities related to these transactions. The case is still pending, I think, in the Supreme Court. DRI case is still pending in the Supreme Court, if I am correct. Please check it.
I'll do.
And when the minister said that related to this transaction and opaqueness of these companies in Mauritius and the transactions of these few foreign portfolio investors, they are very opaque, very shady. So these you can call them, it's post box companies, right? I mean, 5 or 6 of them operating from one office. They'll have the same person as their secretary or manager, whatever you call it. They'll not have, other employees. Their website will be a one-page website which will have nothing on it. So this is not the way normally funds operate. So that's why these kind of funds create a lot of doubt. So many people doubt that it's Mr. Adani himself is using this. I don't know, but there are allegations that Mr. Adani himself is using these funds to park his own funds in his own companies. So,
and then raising more funds based on that from the market.
So that's if that is the case, then Adani Group violated one thing else also, because as per the SEBI regulations, if the company is listed, the promoter holding should not be more than 75%. And in most of these Adani Group's listed companies, the promoter holdings are at the brim, like 74.9%, 74.85%, those kind of things, right? So if these FPIs are related to Adani Group and the monies of promoter group, then it's a very serious issue that promoter control in the group is much more, because there were instances where the FPI investments in Adani Group companies were up to 22%. On average, it averages around 15%, 14-15%. So in that case, this was a serious violation. The consequence of this is that, see, after the promoter shares and after those FPI shares and institutional investors shares, what is there for the retail investors to trade or buy or sell? That is very limited, maybe 2%, 3%. In certain cases, it's not even 2%. This This created a situation where the prices of the shares go up. It's actually artificial. It's not real, because people think, oh, the shares are not getting, so let's buy it. So it create an atmosphere like that it create a artificial
illusion.
scarcity. It's a kind of rigging. So that should be investigated, right? SEBI is doing nothing, as we said. We found that. So what DRI was doing in all these cases, they were also not doing anything. So if the government, it's another option, the government should come out with a proper answer, and there should be an investigation. Opposition already asking for JPC, Joint Parliamentary Committee, or a Supreme Court-led investigation. I don't think government will agree to that, because a lot of skeletons will tumble out of the cupboard for sure. So let us see how it goes.
No, but what does all this mean for Adani's plan to expand in India and abroad? What effect would it have on Adani's businesses, if at all?
The first thing, look at the FPO, which was cancelled now or withdrawn. FPO was issued to raise funds to settle some of the loans or refinance it, and to use in already existing businesses to expand it, right? Like the roads, airport, right? It's there in the offer document. That did not happen. So Adani now immediately need 20,000 crores to do that. From where the money is going to come? It's not only on this. Now banks also will be very cautious, because the fall in the share market and the allegations raised by Hindenburg, it's not small. They are serious allegations, or they are saying their findings. They are very, very serious issues. So the banks will think twice. Now, in international market, Adani was raising bonds, dollar bonds, which is of course it's more cheaper for the group. It's cheaper than Indian banks' interest rates. That will be tough now, because the credibility of the group has already lost. So that will be really tough. So the first thing is that Adani Group will really struggle to raise more funds for their for the expansion of the existing businesses and for the newer ones. I'll give you one more example. A few days back, Adani Group won a new port. The case was an NCLT. So Adani Group won the bid. That's around 1,200 crore rupees. So where the money is going to come from? Adani Group was about to start a copper melting plant in Mundra. SBI-led consortium agreed for a loan of around 8,500 crores approximately, I think. And a part of that was released. So whether they are going to give the complete amount or not, we don't know. It's doubtful. For the Navi Mumbai airport, Adani Group approached SBI, and the SBI-led consortium again was ready to underwrite the complete 12,500 crore rupees as a loan. So all these loans which was committed, it will be doubtful that this will be coming now. And another issue is, when this company take a loan, pledging their shares, so there's a particular value is calculated for those shares, and banks will ask the collateral should be 200% or 250% or 2.5 times of the loan value. The collateral value should be 2.5 times of the loan value. So as this share prices fell drastically now, last year it was trading better, right? So on that time, it would have been agreed that, okay, these are the prices, so this is it. Now, even to cover the loan, which whatever was disbursed, the promoter group will end up pledging more shares because the values came down. Right. So the more promoter group equity is pledged in the bank, that is again not giving good impression. Few of the companies in the group, few of the companies are good. They have good assets, but with their cash flow, their debts are too high. So with the cash flows, what those companies generate, the existing loans might be covered, but generating new funds, creating, getting new loans and generating new debt and expanding the business the way Mr. Adani was doing all this in the last few years, that will be tough now.
Thank you, Ravi, for talking with the leaflet.
Thank you so much.